Today we're looking at the recent news and transactions that give you some dynasty takeaways that's going to impact some of your dynasty fantasy football teams, the market, pickups, guys to trade for, or ideas to help you think outside of the box for future transactions. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're talking dynasty every day. We're looking at the high school recruits. We're looking at college. We're looking at your rookie drafts. Everything's here. Whatever you want. Rankings, everything's here. Click that button. Stop missing out. We're going to start off with some big news. Jameis Winston quarterbacking at the New York Football Giants. And what does this mean? This means they got a contingency plan just in case a quarterback doesn't fall to them in the draft. This also might mean saying, hey, we'll just use Jameis for a little bit till we figure it out. We may not be into this quarterback class. We might pick up a developmental backup later on in the draft. But Winston, if he's the starter, what do we know about him? Bombs over Baghdad. This guy pushes the ball deep in an air yard city with Jameis Winston. 4 games with over 400 air yards last year with the Cleveland Browns. It's not like they got Brian Thomas Jr. or anything like that. They got Jerry Jeudy who stepped it up. Cedric Tillman stepped it up. But still, he pushes it deep. Historically, he's done that. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, when he's back there, he pushes it deep. That works well with Malik Neighbors as you're looking at a wide receiver here who commands a 45% target share. He is the passing offense. And we know Jameis Winston will lock on, does not care, go YOLO. Even if you're covered, he does not care. He'll try and fit it. Of course, as a quarterback, that's not going to lead to success for a fantasy. You love that, especially for a mainstay wide receiver here, Malik Neighbors. His 8 out of 9.5 is lower, but also getting so many targets. And he's also getting targets downfield. He's getting the short targets. He's getting everything. But you're looking at the rate of gameplay here. Number 3 among quarterbacks in pace of play. Just pushing it downfield, making sure the offenses ran fast. More plays ran equals more opportunities for fantasy success. So that could be a bump for everybody in this offense. That could be a bump for this whole offense in general because pace of play goes up when Jameis Winston is back there. He pushes it downfield. He does not care. He'll go YOLO with it. May not be great for the Giants trying to make it to the playoffs somehow. But again, as a bridge quarterback, this is the quarterback you want for your fantasy football assets. Malik Neighbors, if he's back there, if they don't pick anybody else up or draft somebody, Jameis Winston is a player that's going to funnel some fantasy success. As him as a whole Moneyball quarterback that can push it downfield. And that's what we like to see, cheap quarterbacks. Another one, Aaron Rodgers. Spent 6 hours with the Steelers. Maybe by the time you watch this video, he signs. Maybe somewhere else. Aaron Rodgers spending time with the Steelers. It felt like the Steelers were positioning, trying to land him. DK Metcalf, the main sign here. DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Aaron Rodgers. What we know about Aaron Rodgers with the Jets is he'll funnel it to the top 2 wide receivers, look their way a lot. As you look at their target shares, maybe the ADOTs will be a little bit lower with Aaron Rodgers, but also the pace of play with Aaron Rodgers will slow down. I think DK Metcalf will get a good target share with him. The ADOT might decrease a little bit. Pace of play will be a little bit slower historically. The last few years with Aaron Rodgers, maybe even longer than that, it has been slower, but he commands the offense. He's not a top-tier quarterback anymore. He's also going to push it to his main wide receivers, Pickens, Metcalf, a lot. They're going to be heavily targeted in the offense. What does that mean for fantasy? We'll have to see when we're in game. But DK Metcalf should be all right. He should at least be all right. George Pickens might be more volatile, but he should be getting still a fair amount of targets. Last year range, what we saw from George Pickens' volatility, that might go down a step with Aaron Rodgers, but Brandon Cooks is back into the fold. Brandon Cooks, afterthought in fantasy football right now, afterthought in Dynasty, sitting on the back end of the rosters, honestly, probably should be that way. But when you look at the production, another injury-riddled season here, missing some time, 14.5 PPR points in week 1. That was his best game of the year. Back in the season, we got 10.6. We're able to command 5 or more targets in a lot of games. So opportunities there, but there was not like deep competition on that depth chart when he came back, it felt good that he was coming back to the Dallas Cowboys. But still, Brandon Cooks, we know he's on the twilight of his career. 31 and a half years old. 16% target share last year. 8 out of 11.7 on a team that pushes it downfield. We're seeing what Rashid Shaheed's going to look like when he comes back from that injury. Chris Olave back there getting the deep targets. I look for this team to push it downfield. I think Brandon Cooks is more like a DFS dart throw in some weeks as a cheap player you hope that cashes in on some deep targets. Maybe better for a cheap best ball target if you're more in that realm. However, setting lineups, you're never going to trust it, but there might be a run here. There might be a run here. He's still a very technical wide receiver. He's still very talented for his old age at this spot, not having to be the guy to rely on. He wasn't the guy to rely on in Dallas, but potentially 2, 3, 4 depth chart wise. We'll see as we get in, especially who else they add to this roster. He also had a good route participation rate when he was out there, running 27 routes per game. So he has the potential to run a lot of routes, get some deep bombs, and maybe he splashes here and there. I do not expect consistent productivity. I do not expect him to jump the market when it comes to value, but maybe a money ball play in certain formats, certain lineups, a guy to look at as we get deeper into the season. Also, another Cowboys wide receiver, Michael Gallup, enters the chat. He is back. The thing about this, Michael Gallup, coming out of college, a very talented wide receiver. Years ago, 2020, 2019, that was when we were going off. Since then, it was like, okay production. We're with the Commanders. We're interested in this offense. He's not being valued at all in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Afterthought, he's free. And maybe he climbs the depth chart. Maybe he gets some opportunity. Noah Brown was getting opportunity in the middle of the season when he got to the Commanders before he got hurt. Maybe he commands some opportunity. He's a talented wide receiver to some regard. He's not the best wide receiver or anything like that. But in an offense here, when we're in war, weeks like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, beyond, middle of the season, injuries hit, things get weird, there's attrition. Maybe Michael Gallup rears his head a time or two. That's not saying, hey, that's big-time dynasty value. But if you're looking for cheap money ball plays, if you're looking for DFS options when you're in season, if you're looking for best ball options, potentially that's deep on the last play of your roster, maybe, especially if you're all in on Jaden Daniels. Remember, he's got an injury history. That can always creep back up. Older wide receiver prospect. We did have some time to rest and recover. Maybe he made the smart move with that. Maybe he did, but remember that. We have an injury history we're coming back from. We're trying to get right. But Rondale Moore also has an injury history, but we're linking up with the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings. Is he going to be fantasy relevant here? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, there's what, 50 to 55% of the targets locked in. You got Hawkinson. You got whatever they're doing at running back there. We got a new quarterback. But what does this say with Rondale Moore? What does this tell us? He might have a game or two where it pops off, but as a stock for Dynasty, it's probably not going to go super nuclear. It is on the rise a little bit as people are starting to look his way. He's a guy that nobody's going to trust. I do not suggest you trust him unless you're looking for deep money ball plays. But on top of that, 5.2 average depth of target. How can he help this team as an outlet wide receiver on the bottom of the field while he's being the outlet helping J.J. McCarthy? Because Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are going to get it. Both of them over 100 targets last year. Should continue with that even with J.J. McCarthy back there. But having a speedster that can get you yards after the catch, even with a low ADOT, can only help you one way, and that's with your young quarterback here. Just getting those short targets, being liable in the short game, able to get you yards after the catch, maybe having a boom week here and there. J.J. McCarthy set up in a good situation here where recently, due to pace of play, due to talent at wide receiver, tight end, you got Haas at running back, J.J. McCarthy set up to have a good season. He's set up to develop well. And if he does not develop well, it's all on him. Because the pieces are there. Lesser talents like Joshua Dobbs, Nick Mullins, has proven to be productive in this team. That being said, that's something to look at. Sam Darnold was productive last year. J.J. McCarthy's going to be the guy. They're indicating that. and his value's on the rise. It's no surprise. But again, Rondale Moore going to the Vikings. That's a huge deal. Pace of play is what we want to look at when it comes to fantasy football success. And what we see from the Vikings is a team that wants to be fast-paced. They want to be top 5 in pace of play. This is pace of play, seconds between plays over the last decade. I had that pulled up via Grok. Who needs fantasy sites anymore when you have AI? Who needs that anymore? J.J. McCarthy, though, has the potential to be a good distributor of this offense. He's got the pieces around him. He's still relatively cheap. However, market value, which a lot of people don't talk about, I don't see him being too liquid. If I held on to him this long, I'm not going to give him away. I'm not going to give him away at market value. You're going to have to pay up a little bit. Think about it. Whoever held on to him, now March 2025, we know we're getting into the 2025 NFL Draft. A lot of people don't like this draft class, so there's not like competition really coming in. There could be, maybe Cam Ward steps it up, but these offenses these two quarterbacks are going into, J.J. McCarthy here. We're looking at a quarterback here where they put in or inserted quarterbacks, lesser talent levels. We're able to be productive, move the ball for fantasy success. That's all we're looking at here. There's potential here. Price tag says cheaper, maybe in startup drafts. Market-wise, you're going to have to be creative. Those are the takeaways right now. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.